In today's episode, we'll be savoring more than just a perfect cup of coffee. We'll be uncovering the secrets behind the beats that have made audiences worldwide move to the rhythm of Shinedown. From chart topping hits to the stories that resonate in every drumbeat, Barry has been instrumental in shaping the sound that defines an era, I would say so. So grab your favorite brew, settle into your favorite chair, and let's get ready to meet the man behind the kit. Barry from Shinedown, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you today?
Great. The show's called Meet Me for Coffee. I have my coffee here. I'm a Canadian. I have a hockey puck almost glued to this thing, so it's a nice little coaster. How
Well,
do
I
you make
like
your
it.
coffee?
Typically, I like to do a latte in the morning. That's how I like my coffee. I make a double espresso latte.
Oh, wonderful, man. You can't go wrong with that. You have a company called Spartan Brews Coffee Company. Some pretty interesting brews, and talk about your love for coffee and why you started this.
Yeah, so my love for coffee started back when I was in college. I worked in coffee shops as a barista to help pay my way through college in different stores. I think I started at it was either a Books a Million or one of those places in that coffee shop, and then worked my way into a local coffee shop that was actually on campus, which is how I met my lovely wife. As I started giving her free mochas and reined her in. But that's what started my love affair. It was mid '90s when really coffee was starting to take off and become worldwide. The Starbucks was growing rapidly, and people were starting to do more than just that morning cup of normal bagged coffee at the house, or the Insta coffee. So that started my love affair. And then after college, I did some other jobs before getting into Shinedown, and I kind of burnt myself out on coffee, making it every day. I was like, I don't want coffee anymore. And then fell back in love with it later on when, I needed to pick me up in the morning. And I was like, man, I miss this. And the technology and everything's gotten so impressive that there's so much more out there than, I can even keep up with. And then with my partner, Steve, I met him. He's retired military, Army. And we were talking one day, when he retired, he was working for the band Stained, and because he's from the Boston, Massachusetts area, and they all knew each other, and he was working with them. And he's like, "What are you gonna do?" Because this was the early days of Shinedown. He's like, "What would you do if this went away?" And I was like, "I don't have a plan." He says, and being the Army guy that he is and a lawyer, he's like, "You need a plan, kid." And I was like, "All right, what?" And we talked about it, and then a few years later, he comes up to me and goes, "What do you think about coffee?" I said, "I'd love to do coffee." He says, "I think I got away." And so it kind of just took off from there slowly. And we've been slowly building it over time because, he's got his real life lawyer job. I've got my real life Shinedown job. So this was kind of a pet project that we wanted to grow very slowly. And now it's starting to take off. I think we're in roughly like 16 stores in the Massachusetts area. We've got our online community. I think we're about to go into Vermont. So it's growing a little quicker than I expected, and we're having fun with it. It's on our terms, and it's good coffee. So it's been kind of a labor of love for sure.
You mentioned how this having a backup plan, or your friend was saying, in case this ends. You had a bit of a scare about a year or two ago with your elbow, I remember, and you
Yeah,
had to do some therapy on that. Really
yeah,
interesting to hear the story on how you were able to get helped by this clinic down by your house there.
yeah.
PRP therapy. How was that?
It was a wonder. It worked wonders for me. So what happened to me is, we had just finished a long tour off the attention detention cycle, I believe it was, and um, I came home to my daughter, and we were dancing in the living room, and I was lifting her up in the air, and we were having a blast, daddy daughter time, and blew out my elbow doing the simplest thing, and I couldn't move it. I literally I couldn't lift a stick, I couldn't hold a stick, I couldn't move it. I was like, wow, I really hurt myself. So went to the orthopedist here, and they started me with physical therapy first, and I spent 9 months in physical therapy, and slowly got it back to where I could use it again, and then got the PRP, which is platelet something, where they take your blood, basically spin it down into the platelets, and then they re-inject it into the site. The shot itself wasn't bad. The next day was super sore, and then once that soreness went away, I was like, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Let's go. And ever since then, I've paid attention to what I do, and it's just I think about it. My right arm I broke when I was really bad when I was younger, so and it never healed properly. So my rotation's off and my joints are off a little bit. And then I count to four and hit things for a living. That's my job and has been for a very long time. And wear and tear happens, So it's about maintaining, taking care of it, doing my stretches, exercising, and I cold plunges on my elbow and things of that nature. I'm not man enough to do a full cold plunge, but I'll do it on my arms.
I don't think a lot of us are man enough to do that.
No, I don't like the cold. I'm a Floridian.
Oh yeah, well, I'm a Canadian. I love the cold, but I still can't go into an ice bath.
Yeah.
The wear and tear, the extensive touring Shinedown has done, including your energetic performances as a drummer. How
Mhm.
do you maintain your physical and mental well-being on the road?
Uh, Working out is a big one. It wasn't always that way, but it's no secret that Brent was a pretty bad addict for a very long time. And when he finally got sober and looked in the mirror, he had put on a lot of weight. He decided he had to do something about it, and he really got into working out and trying to get himself healthy. And in that, we wanted to support him, so we as a band would start working out together on show days and everything else, and it just kind of stuck and became part of our routine, to where I don't like playing a show if I don't get a workout in before that. So the workout, it could be a 25-minute workout or it could be an hour. It's important to do, and also helps us perform at our peak on stage. It is that athletic show. There was a study done in Canada, that I was lucky enough to be a part of, where that she studying drummers and the amount of expenditure that they put out during a show. It's called it's a drummer lab, I believe. She's going to kill me. I forgot. I'm blanking. But anyhow, the study, she put monitors on heart rate and some other monitors and measured a show. And she's equating it to basically a soccer player, and she can graph it and put it out there. On a typical show, I'll expend around 1,100, 1,200 calories. That's a lot. And you better be in shape to do that at our level. Now, not every drummer is maybe as energetic as I am or swinging to the fences like I do, but it's still an athletic job. You're not going to sit down on the couch and play drums. You have to actually move, and you're moving all four limbs. So it's even more as we age. I'm not old, but as we age, you gotta take care of yourself.
I'm a bass player, but I think whoever invented the drums, somehow that's one of the most miraculous inventions of all time because it just pulls everything together.
It is. And the modern drum set is not that old. It started back in the vaudeville days, basically, because drums have been around since the dawn of time. We'd
Yes.
beat on anything for communication, but it started in the vaudeville days when basically the theaters and stuff got cheap and they didn't want to pay a percussion section. So they'd pay a guy and he started putting a kit together to be able to cover the parts. And that's where the modern drum set came from. So it's really a relatively new instrument, and the effect it's had on everything. And without kick and snare, modern music doesn't exist in a way. So it's kind of neat to be part of that legacy, I guess. And it speaks to me. We had a conversation in the band once about how people listen to music differently, and not just individual. Everybody hears music differently, but there's like two kinds of people, or two different ways that people listen to music. Some people listen to melody and vocals, and other people listen rhythmically. And I'm definitely on the side of rhythm. I couldn't even recite to you all the Shinedown lyrics because I don't listen to lyrics. It doesn't affect me the same way. And I think that's why the music that I'm in love with and that got me into drumming is very rhythmic based. The James Brown kind of, funk sound and things of that nature, and Stuart Copeland from the Police. It's very rhythmical, and that's what speaks to me, and that's the way I enjoyed listening to music.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that some of the albums you can't also live without, or even like the Nine Inch Nails album, Downward Spiral, Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden, of course, James Brown,
Yeah,
Star Time, and
yeah.
Hysteria, Def Leppard. We talk about drumming. I've been a Shinedown fan for a long time. I followed you
Thank you.
guys since 2003. Uh, I lived in this little town of less than 35,000 people, and I remember going down to the record store and buying or ordering at the time live from the inside. And I'm pretty sure I am most likely the only person in that town to have ever held that DVD. And I remember remembering the story. Remember the story of Shinedown, how Brent was in the band called Delve. They disbanded, but kept him on the record label, and then they brought you in. You were number 7 as
Yeah,
a drummer audition. Do you remember that specific day and
vividly.
things that happened? Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, I remember it vividly. So I had moved up to Jacksonville, where I currently live, for a basic biology job. I was cleaning lakes for the state of Florida, and I was 24 at the time. Had kind of given up on music. Okay, it's going to be a hobby for the rest of my life. I've got my now wife. We were starting a life together. We were living together, and whatever. Life's happening. And then my brother, who's a radio guy, said, "Hey man, there's this guy, Brent Smith. He's looking for drummers. I have his demo here, his demo CD. I think you really like it." And I heard his voice, and I went, "Yeah, I like this." So I called him and said, "Hey man, I'd like to audition. My brother's the radio guy here." And he said, "Okay, come on out." And I was the last one to get into the group. He already had Brad and Jason, the original bass player and guitar player, and met them at a Hooters, of all places, out at the beach. And they had a pitcher of beer, and we just started talking, and we had a lot in common. And they're like, "Okay, stop by tomorrow at our little rehearsal space, and here's the 2 songs that we'd like you to do. One's called Lacerated, and one's called 45. We want to see if you can play in an odd time, and we want to see what you do with this ballad that we think is going to be possibly on the first record when we get to do that." And they hadn't even named it Shinedown yet. It was the Brent Smith project. It was just a working towards getting the green light from Atlantic Records. And so I went into the rehearsal space. We played them down. They said, "Great. How about you come to the studio tomorrow?" Because they had been recording demos in the studio that no longer exists here. "And we want to see if you can record, because a lot of people get red light fever. That light turns on and they just shut down, and that sucks." So I said, "Sure, I'll come in and record it." And I came in with my busted up kit and old drum heads and cracked cymbals. That's all I had at the time. I was like, "Let's go." And I recorded a version of 45 for them. They said, "Great, you're in." Lo and behold, and this is the cool part of the story, the cool twist. I'll try to make it relatively short. We get the green light. We figure out our name. We're off into LA to record the first record. We're out there. We record this big, grandiose version of 45 with an orchestra and everything else. And we turn the songs in and had done some other stuff. And they're turning to the label. And our A&R guy goes, "You know what? I think that demo version of 45 was better. We're going to put that on the record." So the 45 you hear on the radio and the 45 that's on Leave Whisper is actually my audition for the band.
Amazing, amazing. And 7th drummer, 7 studio albums in now under Shinedown's
Yeah.
belt. By the way, I heard the name Shinedown came from a picture on a wall. And
Yes. So Brent was living with our bass player at the time, Brad, kind of sleeping on his couch. And they had gotten a painting painted by a mutual friend that Brad was going to hang above his fireplace. And Brent said, "Man, it'd be really cool if you had a light shining down on it." And that's where it started. And shining down. Oh, how about shine down? And it kind of fit the yin and yang of the band and the ups and downs of our songs and lyrics and things like that. So it really fit. It was just kind of one of those, because we wrote down a ton of names and they were all horrible, and we were really struggling to come up with a band name. And those are the best ones when it just comes naturally.
well, it seems like almost 20 years later, it has stuck with you guys. As we
I'd say
mentioned,
so.
as we mentioned earlier, 7 studio albums in Shinedown's belt, including the recent success of Planet Zero. How has the band's musical style and approach evolved over the years? And by the way, is it possible for a band to keep getting better and better? I think so. Shinedown.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You grow as musicians. You learn more every time you do a record, and then hopefully you're getting better at your craft, at your instrument every time. I listen back to the early stuff very rarely, but when I do, I'm like, wow, I'm a different player now. I don't even know if I would have played that way now. And that I like it. It's obviously those songs got us to where we are, but would I change it? No. But would I play it that way? Absolutely not. I'm a different drummer. I maybe know too much, or I'm maybe too used to being at studios at this point. You grow and you evolve, and with the lineup change that happened over the years, having Eric and Zach in the band definitely helped grow our sound. Eric is a monster of a producer and musician. We met him as a producer writing for Sound of Madness, and somehow finagled him to come into the band because he wanted to stay just a producer, and we talked him into it, and now he's happy. But it took a minute. You know, because he had to take that leap of faith and tell his wife, "Hey, I'm going on the road." Uh, it's been a journey, and you try to grow. And we're the type of band, and we've said this a million times. We don't rest on our laurels, and we don't look at the past. You know, it's what's next. How can we be better than we were yesterday? How are we going to grow ourselves to where we're get out of the arenas and get to the stadiums? There's never an end goal. There's never a ceiling. You know, we could sit back right now and play for the rest of our lives, arenas, theaters, state fairs, and be happy and lucrative and pay our bills. But that's not what it's about. For us, it's always about growing. And you know, we want to play stadiums. We want to play the Super Bowl. We want to keep growing. We want to conquer the world. We want to be bigger overseas than we are now. Um, that's what keeps you motivated. You know, that hunger, that drive. I think if we lost that hunger, if we just became any one of us became complacent, I'd have to quit. It wouldn't be fun anymore.
Absolutely. And your band is known for powerful and engaging live performances. Like, how does the band approach crafting set lists for concerts, especially considering the diverse catalog of songs that you guys have spanning multiple albums?
It's knockdown drag out fight at this point. It really a lot of times it rests on Brent and Zach. I will play just about anything, and if there's something that shoots up a red flag for me, I'm like, "Hey guys, let's talk about this." But one, I think it has to come down to Brent and how is his voice going to react from song to song because he's got such a powerfully loud voice. He doesn't want to blow it out in the first song, or you know, sometimes for him, pitch wise, going from this song to this song is difficult for him to adjust. So maybe we put something in between that helps him adjust. So there's those things to think about. Then there's the show, guitar changes, tunings to think about. And then most importantly, we want to give the crowd the songs they want to hear. I'd love to play a million deep cuts off these records. There's songs that we've never played live that I would much rather play than 45 ever again. You know, I've played that song so many times, but it's not about me. It's about playing the hits for the crowd. And now we've run up against the wall that, hey, we're only going to get to do an hour and a half, 2 hour show before curfews. And, you know, that's just the length of a concert. We have more songs than that have been on the radio. So now it's picking and choosing which ones fit, which ones off the new stuff do we want to play? What about the old songs for the fans like yourself that have been around for with us since the beginning? It's getting more and more difficult, but you know, again, these are uptown problems. You know, thank gosh we're still here. Yeah.
And you guys are still progressing. You know, Planet Zero. I think this is a very complete record. You consistently like address meaningful and often introspective themes in your lyrics. Can you share
Mm.
some insights into the band's songwriting processes and the themes explored in the latest album?
Yeah. So I mean, when it comes down to the basic process of us writing in the band, it comes from true stories and true things. You know, every single song since the day I met Brent, you know, because he is the main lyricist. He wrote the lion's share of the lyrics. They're from stories either he's experienced or we've experienced or things we've seen. They're all true stories or true feelings. And I think that's why people over the years have been able to relate on such an emotional level to our songs is because they felt that too. Or and even if it's not the same story, you know, you think of the song 45, you know, the staring down the barrel of a 45, that's you staring down the harshness of life. That's you staring, reflecting the harshness of life. But I remember when that song was popular, we had a lot of, you know, the wars in the Middle East were kicking off pretty hard at that time. And soldiers coming back using that song for a whole different meaning, but it meant something to them. And that's what's cool about music. Just because we meant it for X, Y, and Z, you might think it's ABC. And great. If it affects you that way and it helps you through your day, that's what music's about. And coming to the record Planet Zero, you know, that was written during the pandemic. That was written when everybody was shut down. You know, we were in Charleston going, we don't know, we're going to play a show again. And we had to write about what we were seeing worldwide. The world's burning around us and everybody's, you know, going crazy. And you know, the world is just, everything was turned upside down. And that's what we were experiencing. So that's really where a lot of the stuff for the record came from. And those emotional roller coasters of what the hell's going on.
And we talk about, you know, the exploration into deep and meaningful themes. How do you approach incorporating themes into your drumming specifically, and what emotions or messages do you aim to convey through your percussion?
When it comes to drums, I am proudly the foundation, but also the background. Drums are meant to be felt and heard, but not really seen in the same way, I think. If I were in a prog band, or if I were in a Rush, for example, you being a Canadian, one of the greatest prog bands of all time, the drums were more in front. They were part of that. And Neil was one of the main songwriters, but that's the way it was supposed to be heard. With Shinedown, I'm support, and I'm proudly support. My job is to play what's right for the song. And so sometimes that's about putting my ego to the side and not going, oh, look at this cool fill. It's going, why would I play something there when the vocals need to be out here? So I'm going to take a step back and maybe do a very simple zaka ga, because I don't need to step on what he's doing, because everybody comes to Shinedown for that wonderful frontman of mine and his wonderful lyrics. So I like to be support, and I've learned humility over the years, because as a young drummer, all drummers, I believe, the very vast majority of us, I can't, stereotype everybody. The vast majority of young drummers want to play the look at me fills. Look at me, look what I did. It's all about me. It's not about you. It's about the song. And even myself, through the first two records, tried to do that a little bit and play dumb things that maybe now looking back on them, like I said, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do those things because I think they might take away. And then in Sound of Madness, getting some more experienced producers and different people around me going, hey man, you ever think about not doing that? Like, why? Well, the lyrics are doing this here. You might just want to step back. And I went, I never thought about it that way. And that's when it really clicked that it's not about me. It's about the drums being a support instrument for the song. And that's the way I approach
less
it.
is more sometimes as well, right?
Yeah. Listen to Charlie Watts from the Stones, or Ringo Starr from the Beatles, two of the greatest rock bands of all time. Charlie Watts, that dude could, through a whole song, just go and never hit a crash cymbal, never even play a fill. And they're playing stadiums. Those songs were killer. So it's not about what you play, it's about what you don't play.
Are you still getting goosebumps on stage? The adrenaline rush?
How's absolutely that? Best drug in the world. If I didn't get that, I'd quit tomorrow. Yeah. I honestly would quit. I couldn't get up there and fake it at all. Even those nights when, and they're very few and far between, but back in the day when we'd be fighting, or Brent was off his rocker, and internally the band's imploding, that always got left off, and you hit the stage and go enjoy. I love it. I miss it. This year is going to be a slow year for touring and stuff because we're writing, and my wife's already looking at me going, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I have no purpose aside from obviously being a husband and father.
Yes.
I'm missing this whole other purpose. I'm missing what I do for a living. And some days it's difficult.
Oh yeah. And collaborations with various artists. Is there a dream collaboration that for you like to pursue? I'm not going to say for the band, it's like it's other people, right? I can see
right.
I can see a Jelly Roll Shinedown collaboration. I think that would be fantastic to hear something like that.
I'd never be opposed to that. And there's actually been talks of that. When he toured with us, was it last year or the year before? We mentioned it in passing a few times with Jelly, and he's exactly what you see. He is that sweetheart of a person. He's exactly what you see. That is him. He's real and a sweetheart. So I'd love to do that. I've never really been kind of a collab person. Like I've never dreamt like, oh man, it'd be great to do something with the Chili Peppers or whatever. Yeah. If those opportunities, I'd like it. If those opportunities presented themselves, a Jelly Roll would be great. I would obviously never say no to that. But I'd love something that would be weird and off the wall. Like what if Jay-Z wanted to do something with us? That'd be fun. A total different genre, total different thing. Or, his wife Beyonce. Or what if Pink wanted to come in and sing on one of our tracks or do something, or have us play on one of her tracks or something like that? I would entertain that idea all day long, because I'm in the book. I listen to all kinds of music. I love music. And if it speaks to me, it speaks to me. I don't care what the genre is. And so I think when you get those cross genre collabs, because it's become in the past couple decades so segregated. You're a rock band, you're a pop band, you're a hip hop artist, where it used to be back in even as late as the 80s, Def Leppard would be on top 40, and then you would hear Madonna, and then you'd hear Michael Jackson, and then you'd hear Bon Jovi. It was all one. It was just a good song. It's a good song. I hope that we get back to that.
Yeah, look how things have changed. I mean, you guys are what, second most added song
Yeah.
I'm Beyonce's
Weird.
ex children. Very weird times.
And she made a country song. That's weird.
Yeah, I'm not fully into that one, but going back
I'm
to
not either, but
going back
I
to her husband Jay
appreciate
Z,
it.
going back to her husband Jay Z. He has a history of Lincoln Park, so that could happen. Um,
Yeah.
your band has left a significant mark on the rock scene. Reflecting on the band's journey so far, what legacy or impact do you hope Shinedown will have on the music industry when you're all set and done? And how do you see the role of Shinedown within the broader rock music landscape?
Um, One, as long as there's breath in our lungs, we're never done. Um, we're going to be that band that tours as long as we possibly can. There is no stopping us. You know, I want to be the Rolling Stones and still playing when I'm in my 70s, because it is my passion and it is my drug and it's what I love. That being said, I hope we just leave a legacy of songs that make people feel. I want people to be able to have the release I have with my favorite artists. And I want them to be able to look back at that, or when they're having that bad day, listen to one of our songs and it helps them. Or when they're having a good day and they want to have a party time and this song really gets them pumped, or they're in the gym. That's what I want. You know, I don't need to be me personally. Barry Kirch doesn't need to be a household name, but I sure hope that Shinedown is, and that people can go to it for a release from reality, even for that 3 minutes and 30 seconds of that song. That's what I hope we leave behind. You know.
I think you guys have changed rock. I think you guys have made a significant impression on the Mount Rushmore of mainstream rock in general. I see Nickelback, I see Creed, I see Shinedown. Um, there are
I'll take
others,
that company.
yeah, and there are others that I can think of off the top of my head, but it's those are the three definite ones for me personally, and
Yeah,
I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day, Barry. It's been great.
it's my pleasure. I love
Uh,
doing these things anytime.
awesome. Well, I'll definitely take that into consideration. Maybe one day we'll have you back, and I'd love to talk
Yeah,
more.
or maybe if we finally get up to Canada again, you and we're playing in your area, we'll do a backstage thing or something. I'd love to have you out. It's doing things like this that bring me joy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And this has brought me lots of joy as well. And just be sure, shameless plug here for Spartan Brews, $15 deal
Thanks.
right now. Barry's got an awesome deal. St. Patrick's Day coffee, pot of gold special, Irish cream coffee, and mint chocolate covered coffee beans. And plus, you get
Yes.
this cool mug as well. So check that out. What's the website, Barry?
Spartan Brews, SpartanBrewsCoffee.com, I believe, SpartanBrews.com. Go check it out. And yeah, there's a bunch of great. My favorite is the Ground Pounder. For all of you fans of coffee out there, we've got wonderful roasts and we do all of our own bagging and tagging and roasting and flavors in house. So go enjoy. Small company.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks.